Nimbin is it. Nimbin, like life itself, is beyond the power of words to explain. That's why you have to visit it and smell it.
In the hills of sleepy Nimbin, New South Wales, Australia's annual Mardi Gras protestival assembles. A group of cannabis activists and enthusiasts who blanket the town in a smoky haze. Thousands rally to change the laws on drug use in Australia, with one thing made absolutely clear. They want the power of the plant to be recreationally legal, and they want to grow it themselves, this time without police helicopters landing on their crop. But as much as the coppers may try, the culture of drugs in Nimbin is just too embedded to stomp out. Which is why Nimbin has permeated my bucket list for years. It holds a sort of mythological weight in Australian conversation, where it is known as the hippie drug town where just about anything goes. Tales have spread across the grapevines about the open sale of drugs, a café de la Beau, the whole thing loosely governed by just one cop. And for a YouTuber, this makes for a delightful title and thumbnail. Imagine, Australia's drug town without laws, fear and loathing in Nimbin, New South Wales, or my personal favourite, surviving 72 hours in Australia's grooviest town, gone inebriated. So I set off on my mission to document Nimbin for what it truly is. Is it a free-loving, forward-thinking peace fest, an orgy of political ideas in an all-loving land of equality, or is it an ironic opportunity for capitalistic greed, which more than anything forces out the very locals who made it so special? I don't know. So without any further research, I booked an Airbnb. I have no idea what to expect, honestly. It's just an Airbnb. It couldn't possibly be. Oh my shit! Whoa! And there's a guy in there with the camera. What the fuck? How did he get here? What? Whoa! Whoa! Damn! There's a whole place in here. Staying in a bus? Holy moly! There's a whole driver's seat! Wait, whoa. Wait, what would happen? I wonder what those switches would happen if you flick the switches? Oh! But before all of this absurdity, I took to Facebook, which is a little known website your mum might use, to find some locals willing to share their experiences with the town. And one local was interested in sharing the positive vibes of Nimbin.
We've bought 50 acres out here and we're setting up community. So with community for community, planting rainforest trees, syntropic farming and permaculture farming.
Sherrie truly embodies Nimbin's hippie mission statement, clutching onto every last chance to preserve the alternative lifestyle.
We arrived in Nimbin, we parked out in the back street, and then before no time at all, we're up in town, spent half a day hanging around, myself and my two kids, 5 and 6 years old. And they went into town. We came back from being in town and the guys up on the hill said, "Hey love, you've left your car door open." It was wide open. And I had a whole stash of cash and a laptop sitting on the front seat, and got back to the car and it was all still sitting there. So the trust and the faith in the crew here in Nimbin's been with me since the very beginning.
What do you think it is particularly about this part of the world that brings so many people wanting to live either an alternative lifestyle or just wanting to search for peace?
Okay, so this region, Byron Bay region and inland through to here, is based on obsidian stone. So obsidian is a stone of healing. So it will always draw people here for healing.
But while all these optimistic testimonies to the power of Nimbin are amazing, there are some who claim to have seen another side of Nimbin. One could even be led to assume that it isn't all peace, love and music. How very un-Aquarius.
My name's Beau Miller. They call me Bojangles out here. I moved to Nimbin around 8 years ago. Once you're in, I think, you realise how special it is and don't want to leave, sort of thing.
I've come to Nimbin during Mardi Gras. I also went shortly after. There's kind of like a big difference in like the liveliness of the town. What I'm about to say isn't to paint a negative image, it's just from what I've heard. But I know people who used to come to Nimbin a lot. This is back in like the 90s. They said that there was other drugs that were kind of a bit rampant through the town at the time.
It has its problems, like any other small town, I guess, with drugs and stuff like that. I think it was heroin back in the 90s here or something like that. That was, like, a lot of people died, and things like that do come and go too. It's still a very positive place, you know what I mean? Like any small town, you do, you know, have those problems as well, but it is a small struggling town as well. When you know, like without the hemp embassy, it'd just be a small dot, you know what I mean? Like another one of those smaller towns.
What do you recommend getting from the Nimbin bakery?
I'll tell you what, the chicken mornay pie is one of my favourite, and cheese and bacon pull-apart or the spinach ricotta pull-apart, probably the best. Fresh every day.
I'd heard great things about the renowned Nimbin bakery, but after biting into my spinach and ricotta thing, I realised that I was still hungry, not for pastries and pie, but on the scoop on how Nimbin's reputation as the weed mecca has impacted the town and its people. Is it tourism which has brought the hard drugs leading to the death of good Nimbin locals?
Well, I'm James Reon Billington, but back in the 70s I was known as Jim. And after a series of busts depriving me of the right to smoke and grow it in my backyard, we put forward a concept of a cannabis control board saying there should be a licence for small farmers to grow their own and provide employment opportunities for thousands of Australians all around the country. And of course be a wonderful cash crop for our hard-pressed farmers. This is an incredibly special place. It has been since the early 70s. Back then, this was all dairy farmers going broke. Graham Dunstan and Johnny Allen came from New South Wales Uni. It was their time to put on a gig. They came up here, they saw it, they got permission from the local Indigenous people and from the farmers to have the festival. And it was the age of Aquarius. The planet is in big trouble. Politics is so corrupt, something's got to be done about it. So people came from all around Australia, from universities and off the street, to try and find what I refer to as a holy grail. How can we make this place better? So you found people here building houses out of bamboo, making macrame, doing all sorts of fabulous things. Beautiful music, so when you had your mushrooms or dropped some acid and went for a walk, you could find your way back to where the music was. It was very spiritual, it was fantastic, and the vibe is still here today. This is a time capsule of wonderment. After the Aquarius Festival, many people chose to live here, collectively bought blocks of land as share communities. They are still here today, living the dream, living the absolute dream.
Have you seen any sort of negative impact from the tourist-centric view on Nimbin as like this weed paradise?
Of course, there's always bad eggs amongst in every gathering, but there's such an overwhelming feeling of goodwill, and vast majority of people do the right thing.
If you're a little town built on tourism, there's going to be this influx from people out of town who come and piss on your walls while they're here and then leave. And Nimbin gets a bad name for it. I have been here in the past and I've seen some shocking things happen, but it was not from locals. It was from tourists who came to see the wonders of Nimbin, then brought their heroin with them, were in the toilets up there shooting up.
You know, if there's drug use, there's a reason behind that, and it generally comes from a lack of love. And when people are in difficult situations, that's what's needed. You know, it's not a financial thing. It isn't oh, here's a roof above your head thing. It's a lot more than that.
Bad eggs, they're dealt with by community.
How so?
Ostracisation is usually, you know, as I said, it's a passive town. Police come in if there's big trouble. Depends on the trouble.
If my snooping made anything clear, it is that the people bringing bad vibes and worse drugs are outliers. And throughout my interrogation of the townspeople, it became apparent that with every negative thing I dug up, 5 positive things would push me back. Because progressive Nimbin doesn't benefit from dwelling on the past.
So this is Nigel. He's the inspector on duty tonight. I personally know Nigel. We did a barbecue together this year for the community. He's a pretty cool guy. And really, like I said before, the deal is don't antagonise the cops. No blowing smoke in their faces. It's a peace offering.
We've stepped it up this year with the microphone. That's pretty good. Yeah. Welcome to Nimbin. I hope you have a very safe weekend. So obviously the police are here. We still have to enforce the law. Make sure everyone has an enjoyable, but most importantly, safe weekend. Thank you, Michael, for the offering.
Nice to say it outside the cop shop, eh?
With the fresh morning dew on the grass and a taste of adventure on my tongue, I set off to assimilate to Nimbin life. No expectations, no material possessions, no judgment. I wanted Nimbin to tell the story for me. And I knew if I wanted to make an even remotely authentic comment on Nimbin's culture, there was one man I needed to speak with, the elusive Michael Balderstone, the founder of the Hemp Embassy, and of course, the unofficial Lord Mayor of Nimbin. Surely he is the hempwick who ties this whole video together. But on a weekend like this, he is one slippery interviewee, running from place to place trying to run the whole show, so I sought refuge in his creation, the Hemp Embassy. But what is the Hemp Embassy, I hear me ask?
The Hemp Embassy started in the 90 something, 90, you know, like 1990, I would say. And the Hemp Embassy has been always like a refuge for the victim of the drug laws.
The Hemp Embassy provides an opportunity for Nimbin locals and visitors from far and wide to receive information about cannabis and its properties. It is Nimbin's political hub, pushing for law reform through community education on the wonderful wacky weed. And they sell guides for how to grow cannabis, clothes and books made of cannabis, basically everything except for actual cannabis. Because believe it or not, in the town of Nimbin there just so happens to be an abundance of it. Like across the road at the notorious Rainbow Lane, where 30 young fellas were charged for selling pot in 2016 after months of surveillance by Strikeforce Cuppa.
I mean, ultimately, we don't want people to be persecuted. And here in Nimbin, we found our spiritual home in that, you know, we believe in the love and the peace, and we're trying to bring that back, you know, a piece at a time. And, you know, the main thing is this. You know, the cannabis, or in a country where it's so-called illegal, you know, we're being persecuted for it when there is actually no crime because there is no victim. You know, so we're up here going, you know what, we smoke weed, you know, we work and we vote, you know, and we drive, you know, and we want to grow our own. You know, that's what we want to do. You know, we want to see a free world and free cannabis again, you know.
It's a fucking herb that we use for medicine. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be so, like, closed-doored. I think it should just be more normalised. People can drink and drive on an open licence, and I don't know, that doesn't make much sense to me. I've never seen a pothead like crash a car or anything like that.
If you're driving and you've been drinking alcohol, you drive fast, you drive aggressively. If you've had a smoke of weed, wow, it's slow and it's really safe, really safe.
What's going on here?
I think they're cooked.
Yeah, maybe.
Guys, let's just go slow so we don't get pulled over.
Jesus Christ!
How slow are you going? You're going like fucking 30 kilometers. Speed up!
The people of Nimbin are fed up with persecution for consuming what they consider to be harmless. So throughout the 3-day festival, they take the extra liberties to blaze weed like wildfire. Who from outside the cannabis industry actually cares about the politics? The bigger picture is that Nimbin accepts drug users and the people living alternative lifestyles fully, which means that the point of Mardi Gras is to show up, gawk at the natural beauty, and have a blast with the fellow drug users of Australia.
It's a protestival. Some of us are here to protest, some of us are just here to party, some of us here are to network, some people are even here to find love.
Peace for pot, pot for peace for pot. And we just keep the fire blazing like, more fire! Music! What we're trying to achieve is to spread out like a positive message.
Our main saying is peace, love, and reggae music. That's all we're here for. And we'll pass the message through the music.
You sort of come here as outsiders, but if you kind of check your shit at the door, you know, and you come in and you have the best 3 days of your life, you're free to be you, you know, and that's what we want people to be. We want them to remember that we are humans.
It's the place that is pulling people together, you know, like, it's like once you get here, it's positive energy, you know, it's like a positive portal.
Everyone is nice here and we're smoking weed for free. That's pretty cool. So that's pretty cool, yeah.
Nimbin locals and artists from far and wide band together to create an all-encompassing experience for the senses.
Life is a serious business, don't you know?
But my favourite of their events has got to be the Hemp Olympics, welcoming to contestants of all shapes and sizes, including me and Zeke.
Good!
The mission of the ceremony is to prove that, amidst stereotypes of laziness, stoners remain capable of becoming athletes. There's the bong throw and yell, tug of war against the police, the joint rolling competition.
Now the time to beat is 1 minute 22 seconds. I just made that up.
And more silly events evident of a commitment to athleticism the Nimbin way.
Holy shit!
The adjudicators ensure that drug testing requirements are positively met.
Smoke weed every day!
And for sobers like me, the winds of weed are against us.
Okay, you know the rules, Liam. Let's see how you go. 35.8 is what we're looking for.
SESHSCRIBE!
How disappointing. Must be devastating.
Despite being the painfully clear-headed designated driver amongst a never-ending smog of ganja, Nimbin's energy and beauty was entrancing. There was never a dull moment with nothing to do or see, until the aromas emanating from one place in particular drew me in. This is the Hemp Bar, an appendage of the Hemp Embassy which boasts an Australian-first, totally legitimate certificate to supply marijuana. Which of course they don't. This place is a true den, in every sense of the word.
It's notorious.
And yes-torious.
And yes-torious. This is the possibly most smoked inside room in Australia, if not the world, per cubic centimetre over the years.
The hemp bar attracted me like nothing else in Nimbin. Inside you'll find it to be complete acceptance of humanity, with no expectations held upon anyone to do anything besides just be a decent person.
Nimbin is it. It.
But in the middle of basking in the toasty aroma of secondhand smoke, I was drawn outside to a thunderous roar of clashing instruments. A circle of 50 people ranging from musicians to not musicians had gathered to play music at each other, totally uncoordinated, unconducted, not a convention nor rule in sight. A pessimist could call it a thunderous stampede of the inebriated, but I think it is the purest representation of Nimbin, the combined effort of various noise-producing instrumentalists playing to the hills, setting a thumping energy to the protestival's visitors and pleasantly chuffed locals. Alone, each drummer is a blazed brute, producing irregular thumps, but altogether, they mesh to create Nimbin's unique wall of sound, and it goes on all night. On the final morning of the festival, people both recover from the night before and prepare for the biggest protest yet. As it has been thus far established, Nimbin's prime export is Kush, but I believe that a second, far more rare, far more valuable commodity is much more important. And this is, of course, silliness.
World's largest radish I grew in
Holy
Nimbin!
fuck.
In Nimbin soils!
The people of Nimbin produce it like never before seen. What's your favourite spell to cast and what does it do?
Be kind.
How do you do that?
You just smile at people.
For example, the Hemp Olympics. It is fundamentally ridiculous, but they don't fudge the numbers. And though the Olympics' main purpose is for people to have fun, it's all in the name of a pro-social cause, to treat drug users as humans and not criminals.
I saw a man over there with a plant, like selling the bud from the plant. Love that. I think that's beautiful.
I'm here to save the world, but mostly just to save your stash. Nimbin's been fucking amazing, and I will be back.
And the Ganja Fairies are here to support the beautiful mother plant and the women's energy around that, and we're here to bring vibe and happiness and just joy to a beautiful festival that brings people with a like-minded belief that a plant from Mother Earth can really nurture us all.
Another example is the Polite Force, who formed after the 2008 raids of the Hemp Embassy. They began as a group of locals who, on the anniversary of the raid, reenacted the entire thing, essentially mocking the police. And ever since, they have ensured that cops act with respect for their fellow human beings, leading to a relatively peachy relationship between cops and Nimbiners. And then there's this anarchic, handcrafted feel of the entire town. People dedicate their lives to this stuff, all in the name of aesthetic beauty. It makes Nimbin stand out alongside other regional towns in Australia. All of this absurdity seems to be how the people of Nimbin fight against oppression and cope with the trauma of being treated as criminals their entire lives. Even if they don't live to see an Australia where weed is legalised or even destigmatised, they have created a beautiful haven in the hills of New South Wales.
Nimbin's a wonderful place, and it's not just about drugs. There's a lot of other wonderful things going on. It's about lifestyles. It's a great lifestyle living here.
And while pondering all of this, Michael Balderstone himself descended from the heavens. Would you be able to qualitatively say what Nimbin is?
Nimbin University, yeah. You do a drug education course here. We are, as a village, a community, we are well drug educated and therefore tolerant. You know, suddenly you find out that nice guy you've been buying veggies off for a year is a chronic pot smoker. He's still operating well. Or he's a heroin user. That's also my experience, you know. There's people in our community who manage their pain, mental or physical, often with illegal drugs, and are totally normal in every other way law-abiding citizens. We're all just trying to feel good, have a good day, you know. Fuck off, leave us alone, you know. Like, people discover weed for medicine here and realise, hell, I could have been using this for the last 40 years instead of, you know, my seizures being kept at bay with something that just has all these other side effects. And I'm furious at the ignorance running the place and the big game, who dies with the most wins, you know, as they trash the place.
In early Mardi Grasses, we wanted to have members of Parliament listen to us, and now we've got members of Parliament and have had members of Parliament from all states of the country sitting in here talking about their successes. We've got people in the House. The word cannabis is being said inside Parliament.
I, despite the channel's name, cannot be the one to educate you on drugs. Yeah, it's a backy bong, exactly. If there's anything you should take away from this video, it's that you should take to the roads or the runway or what have you and head for sleepy Nimbin. I know that I'll be back. SESHSCRIBE! I'm selling Sesh City stickers with 50% of the profits going straight to the Hemp Embassy because, let's be honest, I totally ripped them off. But if you like this video and want to support me in my journey to point the camera at counterculture, then consider grabbing a few. Have a nice day.